Hello everyone, welcome to yet another day in the Clown Decade. Today we are going to go through yet another Novara media video, though luckily they don't seem to talk much in this one, so we can actually get to the heart of the argument. But in the interest of time, and so that you don't have to watch too much Novara media, now that I'm essentially a Novara media reply guide channel, I'll introduce the topic instead of having you have to listen to useless commentary. So, Charlotte Nichols, MP for Warrington North, tweeted out this the other day. Big chance of F the Tories for Jamie Webster at NBHD Weekender, and I can't lie, I absolutely love to see it. Love you, Warrington. And obviously, a lot of Tory MPs and obviously people on the right wing and centrists didn't see this as a particularly good look for the MP and thought it below standard of how an MP should behave, which I'm in complete agreement with. Now, for the people that are at that concert, they can chant whatever they like, I don't really care. But an MP should be actively discouraging this type of thing. You are there to represent Parliament and try and be as cooperative as you can with the other members of Parliament. Obviously, you can disapprove of policy that the opposition is putting through, but I don't think at any point you should ever be approving of the type of behaviour that says F my opposition, because that's just not cricket. Yet, of course, millennial and Zoomer socialists, or in this case communists, are all on board with this type of thing because all they believe in is pure, unadulterated materialistic power. And for some reason they think the Tories hold it all, and there's an evil right-wing government in charge that is trying to put price caps on bread and is looking to bring in over 1 million migrants this year. So, obviously it's a bit of a strange position to have, but hey, that's what they think. So anyway, obviously Mike Graham was one of the people who disapproved of this tweet, and after being introduced by Novara Media like this...
Talk TV host Mike Graham is a right-wing headbanger at the best of times, but in a clash with Labour MP Charlotte Nichols, he's now revealed himself to be absolutely brainwormed.
Where the keywords pot, kettle and black come to mind, they then show the Charlotte Nichols tweet with absolutely no criticism or self-reflection on how it looks on them, and then say this.
Graham did not like that, as you can see from his comment here. The classy at UK Labour MP. Sure Mike Graham knows about class.
I mean, Mike Graham is about as Rush Limbaugh as you can get in the UK, I suppose, but as much as he has said moronic things in the past and as abrasive as he is, I don't think there's ever been evidence of him saying F Labour or encouraging such crude and crass insults as equivalent to F the Tories. And he's not even an MP, so at this point he has better standards than an acting Member of Parliament, which is quite embarrassing as a Member of Parliament. So anyway, Charlotte Nichols was invited onto his Talk TV show, and she was about as apologetic as expected.
The reason I wanted to have you on, to be honest, Charlotte, is that you've talked a lot in the past about the toxicity of social media and how unfortunate things that are said on the internet can lead to problems in real life. And I thought to myself, well, hang on a minute, this is a bit of a hypocritical tweet to put out, isn't it?
Yes, Charlotte Nichols has indeed been quite open about how she thinks real-life harassment and attacks on politicians has been whipped up by abuse online. There's no secret to that. So when she is actively encouraging that type of thing at a concert, yeah, it's definitely a hypocritical stance. So let's see what she has to say about it.
I don't think it is.
Wow, okay, really good start to that conversation. Here is an example of you being a hypocrite. Nah, I don't think it is. But it's not about whether you think or not. You are.
Because the sorts of things that I'm talking about are some of the conspiracy theories around vaccines, misinformation that's put out about various people. It's those sorts of things that I'm talking about. I don't think a generic chant about a political party is part of that kind of toxicity, and I don't think that it can be considered an incite to violence.
Well, I don't know how true that is, because on the BBC article, Ms. Nicole says, I've had someone come to my office with a knife before, and I've had physical violence against me, she said, adding that she had stepped up security at both her home and her office. And obviously these are two things that I don't think should be necessary, because obviously these attacks shouldn't be happening in the first place. But she then says, a lot of that has been whipped up by things that have been online. She said that there was a need to have clear laws, particularly around online harassment, but added that politicians need to lead by example. Oh, really? I think ultimately that all of us in some form of public life, whether it's in the council chamber or in the chamber in Westminster, need to be modelling a good kind of debate that is based on policies and not on personal attacks, she said. So there's nothing there that says oh, I think it's from conspiracy theories and other specific examples like that. It is just a general catch-all abuse phrase, which saying F the Tories at a concert and chanting it would probably come under that. So yeah, she's doing a full-on Motte and Bailey here. It's right here on the screen. That is what she said. So now it's coming to this interview, and she's just outright lying. So great. Great stand of MPs we have here. So Mike Graham then makes the point that obviously chanting what was being chanted at that festival is considered abusive, and considering in the past she has said, as we can see on screen, that she thinks there should be more debate and less personal attack. Graham points out, well, this is a personal attack, even though it's against a group of people she doesn't agree with. You are seeing them within that group rather than the individual that they are. And obviously when it comes to having a public-wide debate on politics and things like that, this absolutely doesn't help, and surely she doesn't want to be a part of the problem then.
Well, again, I think you have to consider why people in Warrington are chanting that at the moment, and it's probably something to do with the new hospital we're now not getting, the sewage that's being...
Oh, come on. No, it isn't. It's everything to do with the fact they're young people at a pop concert. I would expect them to chant it. I'm not having a go at them. I'm having a go at you for endorsing it.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough from Graham. He's not arguing against the fact that people might have a good reason to dislike Tory policy, and that's fine, probably because he himself disapproves of certain Tory policy, which is absolutely fine. His point is, though, that, yeah, a lot of the youth are going to be crass and crude and probably shout something like F the Tories. That you can't do a lot about that, and that's what you'd expect anyway, and they're completely free to do that. But as an MP, it should be your job to encourage a more civilised debate on that matter and act in a much better manner than a load of drunk youths at a concert. But that's the opposite of what the tweet said. The tweet basically says, yes, I want to see more of this. That's what I cannot lie, I love to see it means.
Well, as I said, I'm not singing it. I was reporting the fact that it was being sung.
But you're applauding it, though.
I love the fact that people are blaming who is responsible for their problems rather than scapegoating people that aren't responsible, which the government's been trying to get them to do.
Yes, but again, it's the crash nature of the thing. It's the fact that this isn't going to encourage a better and more civilised debate on policy and politics, which is what you yourself said is what you wanted. You don't want an environment based on personal attacks, and that's exactly what this is.
I feel like my brain has just leaked out of my ears.
Oh, I'm definitely going to be using this clip in a context she doesn't want it to be put in. Honestly, I would love to know what your issue here is.
But that was not the end of the exchange. Not happy with that answer, Mike Graham pressed proudly on.
I mean, this is why I like to think that my content is a bit more engaging than Novara Media's here, because there has been absolutely no commentary on this so far. What we've had is an introduction as to how this interview came about, and then all we've had is, oh, isn't Mike Graham a silly man? I don't know, is he? This is why I asked, what is your issue with what he said here? But you've not said it, and you're just going straight back into the interview? Whereas me and my audience actually enjoy what I have to say about what I'm commenting on. That's kind of the idea. And, you know, my commentary typically goes a bit deeper than, aren't these leftists stupid? Though, let's be fair, that is the underlying point of why I do these videos. But at least I can explain why.
You've said, I've had someone come to my office with a knife before, I've had physical violence against me, and then she says a lot of that has been whipped up by things that have been said online. Don't you think that's what you've just done?
I mean, compared to other things that have been said online about people in public life, it is on the more nothing end of the spectrum in that regard, but still, if an MP is actively encouraging this type of thing, which you love to see it means, as I said before, that could encourage worse abuse, whether online or at concerts, and obviously that's only going to get worse and worse and worse, which is why it is your job as a representative of this area to say either nothing at all, or say, no, we shouldn't be acting like this. We need to be a bit more civil about our political opponents.
No, it has been whipped up by things that have been said online, including all sorts of grand conspiracy theories that I'm apparently part of as a Jewish member of parliament.
Again, this is the Motte and Bailey thing. Oh no, I'm not talking about just saying F me. I'm talking about people saying that I'm Jewish. Ultimately, what this is all about is, it's good when I do it. This isn't bad because it is my side doing it. She probably wouldn't care too much if what happened to her happened to a Tory MP. And let's not forget a Tory MP has actually been stabbed and killed in the past year, but it's amazing how quickly we forget these things. But even when that happens, it's oh, but don't forget about what happened to my side. Because She says, this incident has extremely upsetting echoes of the murder of Joe Cox just a few short years ago. Like, you can't just leave it at a member of parliament has died, this should never happen, we will take steps to make sure this doesn't happen again. No, you've apparently got to remind everyone that, yes, this also happened to a left-winger too. When it just doesn't need to be brought up. There's an underlying political point being made there that does pull the rug under from the sincerity of this message, and I don't find it particularly good. You know, I don't think it's a good look.
That's a very different matter from people doing generic chanting about a political party who are in government and who have given people every reason to hate them, frankly.
Yes, again, I understand the apology. Yes, we are not talking about why they hate the Tories. We don't care about that. We are asking you why you are encouraging the incivility and the abuse of an entire political group when you yourself have said you don't want any more Joe Cox or David R. messes, and you obviously don't want anyone threatening your life again, which you think all types of abuse encourage, but apparently not when you do it.
So you think people should hate the Tories then?
I think people should hate the government, yeah.
It's such Weasley language. She knows it's not good to say, yes, people should hate the Tories, so instead she is saying hate the government. Well, those two things are synonymous given that the Tories are in power. They are the government. When she says that, she doesn't mean civil service or anyone that actually enforces policy. She does just mean Tories, as you can tell from the tweet. So naturally, as a good interviewer, Mike Graham is going to push on that.
Really? See, I find that an extraordinary position for a democratic politician to have. You also said this. I think ultimately that in all of us, in some form of public life, whether it's in the council chamber or the chamber in Westminster, need to be modelling a good kind of debate that is based on policies and not personal attacks.
I mean, it's just a slam dunk. And anyone watching this who isn't a rabid partisan is going to say that, yes, Mike Graham is being the sensible one here, not the MP. And yet Novara Media are trying to paint a completely different story. It's like they're watching a completely different interview. I mean, they're not commentating on it, obviously, but with the introduction and this clip...
I feel like my brain has just leaked out of my ears.
They're almost inferring to the audience that they are clever enough to know that Mike Graham is the stupid one, when really they're being far from subtle and just making themselves look worse, as they always do.
Again, show me where it's a personal attack on anyone. It's
well, you're basically encouraging people to hate the Tories. You just said it. You just said people should hate the Tories.
They should hate the government because of what the government's been doing.
Well, should they hate Tories?
It's not a personal attack on anyone, because I'm saying that they should hate an entire group. And then when pushed again on, oh, but you think they should hate the Tories, she actually replies, yes, I think they should hate the government, which just, again, goes to show, because for some reason these MPs are very low standard, that she does think they should hate the Tories. She doesn't particularly care whether you're in power or not. If you're a Tory and she thinks you support this, she thinks that you deserve to be hated and have this chance at you. I mean, she'll probably say when pushing it, oh, no, don't say it to them in the streets. No, don't do anything like that. But the fact of the matter is, having it done at a concert, that's still not a good thing. And then actively encouraging it as she has is probably going to lead to people saying it to them in the streets.
Well, all right. Should they hate Tories then?
Pardon?
Should they hate Tories?
They don't hate individual people, but they should hate the party, what the party stands for.
They shouldn't hate individual people, just an entire group. That's what she said there, yes. The thing is that I don't know why she's trying to make out that the Tory party is some immaterial, abstract being that deserves hatred, when what it is a collection of people. It is a party, it is a group of people, a very large one, I might add. And she has effectively said there, yes, they should hate every single one of those people. Or if we're going to be slightly more charitable, every single one of those people in power, i.e. all the MPs. Which still brings up the issue of, oh, you want a better debate and want them to face less abuse, then why are you saying, oh, no, don't hate individual people, just in the most charitable interpretation, only hate the ones in power, i.e. the ones in my position, but on the other side of the benches. How is that not being a hypocrite? I don't understand.
Should they? No, it's a simple question. Should they hate Tories?
I literally have just answered your simple question.
Yes, but you answered it in such a Weasley way that he just wants you to say, yes, I say that they should hate Tories, rather than the Weasley way of saying, oh, just the government, not any individual man. You don't want to hate individuals, just entire groups. So that's clearly the stand of MPs we have today. Just please don't abuse or attack me, just do it to the opposition. That's where we're up to, apparently. And of course, my take on why Warrington hates the Tories, well, it's actually more than likely because it's full of Scousers. Anyway, you've had most of my commentary on this. I hope you have a good idea of my feelings on this. I think it's now time we critique Novara Media's take on it, because it is inevitably going to be cringe.
That was the moment that Graham's brain finally gave up the ghost and broke in two, leading him to ask Nichols this.
I'm sorry, I spoke too soon. There is still no commentary on this video from Novara Media. Again, just a very simple, isn't Mike Graham an idiot comment. Which it's not exactly high-value commentary if you're just saying this particular person is stupid, isn't he? If you want to hear some slightly more high-quality commentary on calling someone stupid, I will call you stupid if you are trying to make a commentary video and having absolutely no commentary in it, and effectively just replaying an interview, which I'm pretty sure this doesn't come under fair use so far. Either just play the entire clip in and of itself and then have your commentary at the end, or do what I do and watch a bit, stop it, have your commentary, play it again, go on like that. It is not a good video if you're doing this kind of halfway house thing of playing the whole clip in its entirety and you stop it twice just to say, isn't that guy stupid? That's not very good.
All right, let's turn it around then. Let's say people said to you, I hate Jews, but I don't hate you. How would you feel about that?
Yeah, that is pretty applicable here, I'm not going to lie. Because Mike Graham in his hypothetical there, he isn't saying that you should hate any particular individual, just that you should hate an entire group.
Honestly, trying to say that F the Tories is in any way comparable to anti-Semitism.
No,
I'm not entirely convinced that the abuse online is causing a bad standard of MPs and a bad standard of debate. I think it is simply just the fact that whether because they are dishonest or willfully ignorant, they just refuse to actually take the point being made and try and actually refute it. They have to go to a either completely different point or strawman it. In this case, implying that Mike Graham thinks that saying F the Tories is in any way comparable to saying F the Jews, which he obviously doesn't, as he explains.
saying that you're attacking a group of people, right? And I'm saying that you're, as a Jewish individual, just a member of a group of people. But if somebody said, I hate Jews, you would make that hate speech, wouldn't you?
I mean, it's a good question, because they're not being hateful to any individual person, it's just to an entire group. And if the Equalities Act wanted to be consistent in any way, they'd just have absolutely any sort of group being protected by it. But your political affiliation is not a protected characteristic, which is a bit odd, because if you've ever read The Righteous Mind, there's actually a genetic component to that. So I don't see a reason for it not to be protected, because for some people they literally can't help but to be Tories or to be communists.
It would be hate speech.
Right. So why is I hate Tories? So why is... Hang on.
Tory is not a protected characteristic.
Well, why is I hate Tories okay and I hate Jews not okay?
I mean, she's going on about the Equalities Act and protected characteristics now, and again, that's just beside the point. Because her defence was, I'm not saying we should hate anyone individually, I'm just saying we should hate the Tories. But he's trying to make the point that, well, you know, we have equality legislation that says, yes, you're not saying to hate anyone individually, but if you do hate an entire group and act upon it, then this piece of legislation will punish you for that. So why, if political affiliation was, say, a protected characteristic, would that then not be seen as a crime under the Equality Act? That's all he's trying to say here, but I'm just trying to put it in a way that she would understand. But unfortunately, as I say, she's either being willfully ignorant or just trying her best to deflect from the fact that what she did was, quite frankly, encouraging abuse, and she is trying to get away from the fact that she is a hypocrite.
Because the Tories are in government and have given people reason to hate them with their policies over the last 13 years.
Yeah, I don't think she realises this is exactly what racists and anti-Semites say. They would say either, you know, X, Y, or Z group is in charge or protected under the law. They do things that make us hate them, therefore it is okay for us to say F them. And as Mike Graham's been trying to push on her for this whole time, saying that is a ridiculous position. Yet the standard of these MPs is so low that she just doesn't understand that, or is willfully trying to ignore that fact so that she doesn't have to admit that she's done any wrong. Anyway, Mike Graham then points out that it's no wonder that MPs are being abused because she is encouraging abuse.
I'm absolutely not encouraging that.
You should be saying to people that you should not hate individual MPs and you should not hate groups of people, surely.
I mean, I do wish Mike Graham would just let his interviewee finish their point sometimes, but to be fair to him, the questions he asks are direct, and I do gotta appreciate that. So, should we not hate groups of people?
I have called out individual attacks on politicians from right across the political
But why
spectrum.
do you think, if you say it's all right to hate Tories, why do you think Tories get a lot of hate?
Again, he should have just let her finish that point, because I would have replied to the individual cases saying, well, what if they were attacking someone for being a Tory? In your mind, that's okay. Which I suppose that in a roundabout way, that is what he's asking. I mean, this image just kind of just summed the whole thing up. It's just, ha 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 from the MP. I have said something hypocritical and very silly. I've been caught out by it, but I'm just going to laugh at the interviewer pointing this out. Because she knows that people at, say, Novara Media and other left-wingers are just going to defend her for it. Because we have such low standards of political debate these days that it's just an inevitability. Of course she's going to be defended for this. Everyone hates the Tories in her mind. And apparently she wants to encourage that. Anyway, what did Novara Media have to say?
We do be living in a society.
Alright, I'm going to be serious with you for a moment. I can usually just about stand, Ash Sarkar's way of presenting these videos and Michael Walker's, and Aaron Bastani, I think's absolutely fine when he's presenting these things. This woman is really annoying me. Because we are 5 minutes into this 8-minute video, and she has literally done nothing to add to this clip at all. We've just gone through a 5-minute clip and she has said nothing. At the very least, Ash Sarkar or Michael Walker would give you some more context, or would give you at least something that was actually going on in their mind, like the modicum of a take that was just beyond my opposition is stupid. But this Moya girl, literally nothing but just canned laughter. And, oh, isn't Mike Graham silly? And it's really annoying me. I unironically, this clip from watching her.
I feel like my brain has just leaked out of my ears.
Right, let's hope she's going to say something sensible now.
The logic there is, in case you couldn't keep up.
Right, if she screws up this logic, I'm just never going to watch any Novara Media video with her again. I am sorry I'm putting you through this. But she said about 10 seconds worth of things in this video, and I'm just finding it very annoying. Almost unwatchable.
People hate the Tories because Charlotte Nichols says it's okay to.
No, right, never doing it again. Never watching a video with Moya again. She is a certified moron. Just to reiterate the logic here, all that Graham was doing was saying that it is not particularly classy to encourage language such as F the Tories in large crowds and chants. Obviously, this has happened and was expected at a youth concert in Warrington. He's got no problem with that. He didn't even disagree that there's no legitimate reason to hate the Tories. He never disagreed with that. His logic was that if you're going to say we need to have less of an abusive atmosphere when it comes to politics and MPs around here because it can lead to worse abuse and actual physical attacks, then probably the best thing to do is not to encourage the type of chanting and language that Charlotte Nichols herself was encouraging. You, Moya, if you were listening, would understand that. But you didn't, so no wonder all you can add to this conversation isn't Mike Graham silly, because you don't even understand what his argument is.
Has Mike Graham figured out how to grow concrete yet? Because that was the last time I saw him looking that stressed out.
That's it, by the way. That's all Moya's actually had to commentate on this so far. This is what an amateur YouTube channel would look like with political commentary. Even my early videos were better than this. Nothing was added. And yes, Mike Graham was an idiot for saying that you can grow concrete, but can we actually have some commentary on this particular clip, please?
Obviously, completely incoherent, particularly when you consider the fact that no one, literally no one, traffics in the politics of hate in the way that the Tories do and their outriders on outlets like Talk TV.
What the hell do you mean? I have never been anywhere, to any concert, to any Tory event, anywhere, where chanting F Labour started, and I have certainly never seen any Tory MP encouraging abuse as Charlotte Nichols did. What are you talking about?
Except the difference is that hate the Tories at a festival is just a chant and it is an expression of legitimate anger.
I love how this sentence started with, oh, this F the Tory thing, it was just a chant, bro. Oh, but it was about a legitimate expression of hate. So it's not just a chant then, is it? It is a legitimate expression of hatred, as you've just said. That is the problem we have. We're trying, or at least I'm trying, to get out of this area of just absolutely despising your opponent. Don't get me wrong, there are people in the world you should despise, but, you know, with the Labour Party, say, or things like that, Tories as well, to be fair, yeah, a lot of them are doing very stupid things and have very bad policy. I just can't bring myself to hate them, I'm afraid. I am just disappointed by the terrible standard of MPs we appear to have these days.
At how the Conservatives have essentially destroyed every part of our urban and social infrastructure, have made the places that we live inhospitable.
Yes, here is glammed up Londoner letting you know that the place you live is inhospitable. You look very much like you are suffering here. Again, it is quite funny to hear a Londoner say that the Tories have absolutely destroyed infrastructure when in London they have just had installed the most used rail line in Britain ever with the Elizabeth line. But yes, don't get me wrong, infrastructure sucks. That's because of planning laws that absolutely no one in Labour is trying to change either. And as many problems I think the UK has due to government action or inaction, it's not inhospitable. It's still got quite a good standard of living. You know, if we're going to critique people, let's try and be reasonable about it, eh?
Whereas the kind of politics of hate that the Conservatives and Mike Graham traffic in actually kills people. It leads to people drowning in the Mediterranean. It leads to us leaving the refugee convention.
I would absolutely love to know where the through line is between thinking that people shouldn't immigrate illegally and to Britain, specifically to Britain. We don't care what the rest of the world does, but to Britain from France, how is that causing drownings all the way in the Mediterranean? You know, unless they're trying to get over to Gibraltar, which they're not, because they're all in Morocco trying to get over to the Spanish bit. And as much as they say that we've left the refugee convention, we still had hundreds of thousands of refugees come over. So it's almost like we didn't need to be in that convention to actually do our bit with refugees, from Hong Kong to Ukraine to Afghanistan.
It leads to far-right protesters descending upon detention centres.
Yet again, another example of protesting's only fine when we do it. I would love to hear their example of someone who has died as a result of this protest. Like, yeah, people see it as a problem. Of course they're going to protest it. What's your point? And again, it's almost like Tories have been reluctant to actually deal with the illegal immigrant problem. It's taken them years to even acknowledge it, and now that they've acknowledged it, they're not even allowed to do anything about it. So of course that's going to result in protests.
That kind of whipping up of hatred against powerless people is really the thing that we should be talking about if we want to talk about the politics of hate in 2023.
So let me get this straight. The politics of hatred is when you don't want illegal immigrants to come into the country. Right, okay. Apparently I'm supposed to take neither of these people seriously.
I'm sure that Mike Graham has done endless segments trying to provoke hatred and anger against protesters, against Just Stop Oil protesters in particular, and would never take accountability if something actually happened to a protester, God forbid, of course.
Again, are you equating Mike Graham saying things along the lines of, these people are idiots and getting in the middle of the road and don't know what they're talking about, as equivalent to, F these people, they want you dead, and they deserve all the abuse they get?
It really resonates with the kind of bullshit free speech stuff where free speech is weaponized as a way to essentially say, I have odious views and odious policies and want to do odious things that make other people's lives worse, particularly if they're trans people, they're black people, they're brown people, they're migrants. And I really don't want you to say anything about it that's going to make me feel bad about myself.
Yes, apparently this is another person I need to completely ignore. His argument was never, don't criticise anyone. His argument was, if you are worried about abuse and think abuse leads to either worse abuse, harassment, or even direct threats, such as people bringing a knife to your MP office, then yes, you are a hypocrite for saying anything remotely positive about people chanting F the Tories, which, again, to reiterate again, is abuse. It's just that no one particularly would have cared if a random festival in Warrington had a load of people chanting F the Tories and no MP said anything about it. No one would care. This is specifically about criticising this MP, which, oddly enough, this is you projecting your own argument. You want to be able to abuse Tories without people saying that that's a bad thing to do. That is exactly what you are doing here and what you are defending.
And that's ultimately what Mike Graham's big honourable fight is. And I think actually Charlotte Nichols did a really good job there of not getting dragged in and really drawing the conversation back to where it needs to be, which is, why are young people up and down the country saying for Tories?
So just to reiterate what Novara Media's argument here is, they think Mike Graham said, I want to say what I want without being criticised, when he actually said, no, people can say F the Tories at concerts all they want, I don't care about that. So that's point number one. And then point number two was, oh, I'm glad that this MP didn't reflect on her actions at all, and instead did her best to move the conversation on to, oh, aren't the Tories evil? Well, maybe that's beside the point. We're here to talk about if what you did was good or evil. And to be quite frank, it is evil and below the standard that a MP is expected. So there is a link in the description to the IPSA, the Parliamentary Standards Committee. And you can send an email there, the Standard Commissioner at parliament.uk, and that will be sent straight to the Standard Commissioner so that you can make your complaint about the below standard behaviour of Charlotte Nichols. Because if we want our MPs to act better, then there needs to be consequences for this subpar behaviour. If you want to be a Member of Parliament, you have to act like a Member of Parliament. And let's hope that these complaints actually get somewhere. I mean, will they, won't they? I have no idea, but we can only try. So with that, that's everything I had for today. I'm sorry Novara Media really didn't give me much to go off there, but I don't know what I expected. But it's been quite a slow news day, so I took what I could. But nevertheless, as usual, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.